I worked in a state senator's office with a very smart and capable mom. She was the senator's aide, but that was only for part of the year, and I'm fairly certain she didn't really have a career apart from that. But incredibly capable. This lady would always surprise me with the things she had done. Like once she casually mentioned the time she had gone to some conference in Australia to give a speech, and I was like, wait, what? My favorite thing she told me about was when she destroyed her local PTA. So in the States we have these organizations called parent-teacher associations. It's a national organization with local chapters for different schools. They exist to foster relations between parents and teachers, but usually just turn into lots of Karens making unnecessary rules, getting upset over stupid things, and generally causing problems. Usually staffed by the type of people who like to create and solve problems to justify their existence. Sort of like an hoe for schools anyway. This lady was no Karen. She didn't create problems, she solved them. She hated the PTA at her children's school. It was always causing problems and had budget problems. When it finally began getting field trips and recess banned and wasting fundraising money and membership dues on administrative costs, among other issues, she decided she had had enough. She joined the PTA, worked her way through its ranks, volunteered at all the events, ran for office, and became president of the PTA. She then used the bylaws and her influence to disband the chapter. The kicker is then she created her own local club to replace the PTA, one that wasn't influenced by a national parent organization and bureaucracy. She was able to raise tons of money for awesome events, projects, and trips for the students, and ran the club way more effectively than the PTA had ever been. And everyone at the school lived happily ever after. Such a cool lady. TLDR Coworker pulls her on Swanson and replaces her local PTA with her own organization. My dad told me this story a few years back. My grandfather lived in a really rural area in Georgia. This was around the late 1930s, early 1940. My grandfather owned a farm and had a garden. He had planted various veggies. Well, the only neighbors were about a mile away, and for some reason the neighbors would drive their Model T through the garden, tearing up the veggies. My grandpa would have to replant the garden. The neighbors kept doing this. So here comes the revenge part. My grandfather dug holes around the garden and stuck metal poles into the holes. He covered up the holes with leaves. A few days later the neighbors drove through again. My dad said they tore the undercarriage out and had parts strewn all over the place. He couldn't remember what happened after that, but I don't think they did that again.